Are you waiting for a big moment, hoping for a breakthrough, but feel like your talents are too small to make a difference? What if I told you that God's next great move isn't coming through a pulpit or a stage? What if it's coming through the works of your hands? In the middle of rebellion, God raised up an unlikely hero. Not a prophet, not a king, but a builder, a craftsman. This is the story of Bezalel, the man who built the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred object that carried the glory of God. But his story begins far from what we might expect. It begins with patience, obedience, and most importantly, a heart that was open to God's call. Let's take you back to the desert of Sinai. Moses is on top of the mountain, receiving the laws from God. Meanwhile, down below, something else is happening. The people of Israel, impatient and restless, forget what God had done for them. They say, "Moses is gone. We don't know what's happened to him. Let's make gods for ourselves." And just like that, they melt their gold into a golden calf, worshipping a creation of their own hands. Does this sound familiar? How often do we try to replace God's perfect plan with something we create ourselves in moments of impatience? But in the midst of that chaos, God is working. While everyone else is in rebellion, God is raising up someone whose hands will build, whose heart will obey. That man's name is Bezalel. Bezalel wasn't a soldier, a king, or even a prophet. He was a craftsman. God's word to Moses was clear. "I have chosen Bezalel, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for working gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood." Exodus 31 verses 2 to 5. At this moment, God was not only preparing the physical structure of the tabernacle but also preparing a heart, Bezalel's heart. His calling wasn't just about artistry. It was about obedience to God's will. Bezalel's role was not glamorous. He wasn't the one on the mountain receiving the law, nor was he leading an army. Instead, he was quietly working with his hands, creating the sacred items that would house God's presence among his people. And while the people below were caught up in their rebellion, God was preparing Bezalel in the shadows to be the one who would build something that would bring the very glory of God to earth. The story doesn't stop there. The Israelites, in their impatience, begin to worship the golden calf, while Bezalel remained true to his calling. Even as chaos reigned, God's plan was still at work through this humble craftsman. But what can we learn from this? It's easy to feel overlooked when we're not standing in the spotlight. But Bezalel's story reminds us that it's often in the quiet work, the seemingly small and unnoticed tasks, that God does his greatest work. When the world is falling apart, God raises creators, not just warriors. God's message to Bezalel wasn't just for him. It's for you too. No matter what your craft is, whether it's writing, designing, creating, or anything else, know that God has equipped you. Just like Bezalel, you are filled with the Spirit of God to use your skills for His glory. Your work, however small it may seem, is significant. Every thread you weave, every word you write, every design you make, can carry God's presence. Bezalel's hands created the ark, a symbol of God's glory on earth. What might your hands create for His kingdom? Bezalel was called in a time of rebellion and chaos, yet he stayed faithful, obedient, and worked with excellence. When the work was complete, and the tabernacle was built, the glory of God filled the temple. It was a sign of approval. It was a sign that everything Bezalel had done, the work, the craftsmanship, the obedience, was accepted by God. God sees the hidden ones, the ones who work in the background, the ones who stay faithful when no one else is watching. So, what about you? Are you in a season where it feels like no one notices your work? Are you waiting for your big moment, feeling like your talent doesn't matter? Bezalel's story teaches us that even in the quiet moments, even when the world is distracted by rebellion and chaos, God is still working. And when He calls you, He will equip you for the work ahead. So, will you answer the call? Will you use your skills to bring His glory to earth, just like Bezalel did? Let us know in the comments, how has Bezalel's story inspired you to use your creativity for God? What gift or talent do you feel called to use for His glory? Share your thoughts below, and let's start a conversation. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring Bible story animations. And hit the bell to never miss out on an uplifting story that will encourage and challenge you to grow in your faith.